Today, let's show you some redstone. Hello everybody, my name is Drooper and welcome to a new little thing today. We are going to be showing you how redstone mechanics work and how they are going to impact your everyday lives if you're a redstone geek like me. Today, I'm going to show you a bunch of new things regarding the new updates and maybe even some old things. If you don't know how redstone works and you want to stick through for the beginnings, come, I'll show you the ropes. This is for every geek and nerd out there that loves redstone as much as I do. And I will show you all the funny, interesting things that redstone stuff has, everything that can be used with them, and all the interesting traps you could lay, as well as little mechanics that you might know. So, I'm here to show you how all of these work, but not all at once. I mean, today, let's focus on the repeater. It's an interesting block. It's got 4 different unique settings: 1 tick, 2 tick, 3 tick, and 4 tick. Now, these all have their own variable ways. First, how to make a repeater. If you don't know how to make a repeater, there is such thing as a crafting table that you can use to look up how to make a repeater, especially in this book right here, if you don't know how to make one. However, if you don't want to use this recipe book, you could simply just do this. 1, 2, 3 of stone, 1, 2 of torch, and 1 redstone dust, like that. And that will create you the redstone repeater that you need for all of your redstone needs. Just like this. And there's your repeater. And you take that repeater and place it down. You can pick it back up easily in survival because it instantly breaks. So if you need anything with repeaters, it's easily accessible, easily breakable, and easily placeable, and pretty easily craftable as well. It does take a little bit of resources if you don't get stone easily. However, let's get into the actual uses for a repeater. So the repeater, well, repeats a signal if you have a low signal. What I mean by that is if you have a signal here that is like 15 long, and if you make it a 16th, it won't reach that repeater because at the very end you can see that it's actually not on, because redstone lines have certain power levels. If you see on the right corner, you can see power 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 0. If it's power level 0, it's not going to be activated. However, what you can do is take this repeater, put it here, and now, if you put a redstone dust, it repeats that power to power 15. And you can keep going with that signal as long as you want. As long as you have repeaters, the signal never ends. The only thing is, if you take out that torch, that the line doesn't instantly go. It actually has delay to it. So, if you break this, you can see that it actually breaks and then goes. So it's got a different delay signal as other. It's not instant. It's not an instant line of redstone. As you can see, it comes back and it's actually delayed a bit. And you can improve the delay on that by the tick speed of this, by the tick number. If you don't know what a tick number is, it's simply like how the world works. Everything revolves around ticks. Tick speed, we have random tick speed, which allows plants to grow at their own random speed that they grow. Everything revolves around ticks, and that's the game number of ticks. So we have a repeater that can actually delay with more ticks than just an instant line of redstone. So if you make it 2 ticks here, you can see it actually goes longer of a delay. So you could see that, and then if you make it 3 ticks, it goes even longer, as you can see here. And you can even make it 4 ticks, which is the longest amount that you can make with a redstone repeater. Now, if you have multiple repeaters, you could also make that tick delay even greater, right, like this. And you can even see that this line deactivates, and then this line deactivates now. So you can actually see that real close. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And that's how repeaters works with the whole repeating aspect, but they also have a unique function where they can lock themselves. You can actually lock a repeater from moving. and you can have different delays on that as well. And the way that works is you can't actually get any source going through. You can't put any power into this repeater if it's locked. However, if you take power in and then put it and then lock it, you could take the power out and the repeater stays locked. And that's a pretty interesting mechanic, because you could actually make redstone mechanics, redstone like wires that revolve around this, like I did in one of my contraptions in my redstone testing world. I'll show you. Here we have a pretty interesting design in my redstone testing world that I've created, and this uses that repeater locking mechanic. Here it is. So here is the repeater locking mechanic that I have used in my very interesting contraption here. I used this for last season of Relax and Craft in the reboot season. And this, if you can see, let me get a minecart out, you can actually kind of see it working. So here's the repeater locking mechanic. It locks that repeater, and you can see that this bit right here is actually deactivated, but this repeater is still active, meaning that redstone signal can actually keep going through this area and won't get deactivated. It's kind of like a monostable circuit, and if you don't know what that is, I'll get to it in another episode. So yeah, that also works well for the repeater mechanic, and you can also delay that repeater mechanic to your wishes. You can make it as long as you want. Now you can also reset it, and that will actually de-lock it. As you can see here, this will pull this back and unlock this repeater, and when that happens, this entire system will turn back on. That's just a simple way of using the repeater locking mechanic. It works pretty decently well, and you can even work it like this. You can have different speeds, different tick delays, so you can actually hit this, make that happen, and then once you get rid of this, it actually has a delay when this unpowers or unlocks this repeater. And if this is locked and this redstone torch is here, when this deactivates and unlocks this repeater, it still has a delay. So you could have different delays and different locking, and yeah, you can see it still has delay. Now, what can you do with this delay mechanic? Well, you can actually make a clock out of this. You can make a simple clock that goes back and forth, and you can delay the time, delay the time, delay the time, delay the time, delay the time. And you can make this as long or as quick as you want it to be. And it's actually pretty simple, because you could easily attach that redstone line to this and make this go as slow as you want, like this. Now on to probably one of the most difficult to understand redstone pieces in Minecraft, the comparator. The comparator is a very interesting block, to say the least. It looks like this. It's got two different modes, the on and off mode of a comparator. You can put power into it and it'll just share that signal through. Simple, simple. It's got the slightest delay. Once you understand how they work, it kind of makes sense. So I've tried to learn how these work. They have a lot of functions. First being that you can actually read the contents of chests and hoppers, and even hopper minecarts, but I'm not going to do that. So if you put a chest down, see, it's not powered. However, the second you put something in it, it powers. And the more things you have in the chest, the more power will be put into this. So you keep filling this thing up, and eventually you'll get more and more and more power the more things that you fill up with this chest, going all the way up to 15. Just like this. So that's power 0, and this is power 15. So the more things you have in a chest, and even for a hopper, the more things that will work in this favor. And you can see it has a lot of different unique items. There's more than just reading contents. If you put 5 stacks of items in here, this will be a power level 15. If you take out 1 stack, it goes right down to power level 12, and then power 9, power 6, power 3, and then power 0. So the hopper, since it's only 5 slots, deals a lot more power than a chest would, because it's got 27 slots. However, you could also read when an item leaves a hopper, like this. So if you put one item in, you can see that every time that it makes it into this hopper, this goes off and sends a signal. Just like that. Every time it sends a signal, and that's how that works. So it can read contents, it could give strength beyond that content, and it could also read when it leaves and comes back, just using hoppers. Next part of the comparator is delay capabilities. These things can also give pretty decent delay, much greater than any repeater could do, because all you simply have to do is this. And it simply takes that delay and compares it to the redstone. And every single time it goes around, it slowly diminishes the power of each redstone dust, so the delay gets even less. As you can see right here, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then it all turns off. And you can even delay that even further with even more comparators. The more comparators, the longer the delay. Oh, okay, I accidentally made a clock. All right, here we go. The longer the delay happens. See, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Yeah, it's, as you can see, it's much longer of a delay than if we were to just have this setup right here. Just 2. Instead, having 6 of them on each area makes it much longer. And you could do a lot of things with these comparators. But I'm not even talking about the main use of a comparator, which is probably the most difficult to understand. Or probably the most difficult. I don't know. There's a lot of different things you could do with comparators. Especially, you can even read composters, which, and anything that has data stored in it. Anything that holds items, like a composter, like a hopper, like a chest, like a furnace, this thing will read, and it will delay an output responding to how many slots can fit into this thing. Now, it also works with cauldrons, not that, cauldrons, and I do believe even cake, which is interesting. So cake, it reads cake, and it also reads cauldrons and composters. Now, what's weird about this is cauldrons are probably one of the most used version when it comes to comparators, because you have 3 different levels of water. As you can see, you can take out the amount of water by using bottles. So if you take one here, it'll diminish down to power 2. Take one out, diminish to power 1, and then when you take the last one out, there's no more water, and this stops reading it. And also, another thing that can happen, since I have stone on me, luckily, is eating cake also messes with that power. So as you can see, I'm taking damage. I'll take this out. Currently, this has a power level of 14. Now, the second I eat one little sliver of that, because there's 7 slivers of the cake, it diminishes, hopefully should diminish down to 12. Yep, 12. So each time you eat cake, it diminishes 2 power levels from the main power source. So power 10, power 8, and then you get the idea. The more it goes, 2 more down keeps going. So after this, this one would go, this one would go, this one would go, and then this one would go. See? Now it's power level 6. This one doesn't even... This one has barely any redstone left. And it just... yeah. And that's how the cake mechanic works. So they all have their own special properties. And I haven't even talked about composter yet. Now, composter, if you have pumpkin pie, can instantly, it's 100% chance of filling up a layer. And once you get to the top of the layer, you can right-click it and you'll get bone meal. Now, using this, we can determine how much we can have into this. So if it's full, it gives out a power level 8. So it has a power level 8. The second you take this out, it gets rid of all that power level. So every time you fill up one layer, 1 power level, 2 power level, 3 power level, 4 power level, 5 power, and so on until you get to the end, and it's 8 power levels. And then you can just take it out and use that. Some people do use this mechanic. Whoops. Some people do use that mechanic, but a lot of people do use cauldrons and pistons to determine how to use this. Just simply by having 3 power level. Now, the biggest thing with comparators is the fact that they compare and subtract signals. Comparators have 2 modes, the compare mode and the subtract mode. The subtract mode subtracts the amount of power going in from the amount of power going out. So as you can see, there's 15 power going in and 13 power going out, or 14. If you can see, we have a power of 15 going in and a power of 14 going into the side. It subtracts 15 from 14 and it gives you a power level of 1. Now, the less that is in here, the more that is here and the less that is on coming in from the side, the more power level that has. So seeing as this is 15 going in and 0 going in this way, it's going to give 15. So if we diminish this down to 10, 10, I believe this is 11, sorry, 11, 15 minus 11, and that would give us 4 power level left, because that 15 minus 11 is 4. Simple. This one's pretty simple. And then the compare side is pretty much the same thing. It compares the amount going in from the amount going in the side. Okay. So the way that this works is if you have power level going in here and a greater power level going in here, it'll cancel it out because this power level is much greater than this power level and it will just shut off completely. The comparing side is a very difficult one to understand, but it's interesting. It's an interesting one nonetheless. But I don't really see many people actually using the comparing side, so don't worry about that one. We got subtract side, which is pretty easy to understand. The comparing side is probably the most difficult to understand. We have the delay aspect of it that compares the signal and delays it because it keeps going and circling around. And we also have the reading side, which will read all of the contents of things. I haven't even showed furnace yet, but it shows that it reads all the signals, and the more things that are in, the more power level that will be read by this. And we also talked about redstone repeaters, how you can lock them and you can lock their signals by going through torch. If you could get a torch in, you can actually lock their signal. You could lock their repeating as well as their power. So you can lock that there, and there's nothing going in here, but this is still being powered, and the same on the other side. So, and we also talked about the delay factor, how this delays, and yeah, you can see that all of this goes. We didn't even talk about this. So the way that the comparator would be used would be pretty much the same as this. 3 stone, but 3 torches and quartz in the middle. Right like this. So that is the comparator right there. Just like this, we have 3, 3, and nether quartz. And we get a comparator. And that is how you make the comparator. All of these things. I hope you find this pretty useful. I think I'll keep going with this little how-to kind of thing with the redstone components. The more I deep into it, the more deep I get into it, the more interesting it might get. Because right now we're just covering probably the least interesting out of all of them. But once we get into the pistons and observers and all the dropper mechanics and hoppers and all of that, it'll start getting pretty fun. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe if you are new. And I will see you in the next episode of whatever I'm going to do. Peace out, guys.